Early voting. It's for maverick voters who've already decided who they want as president, which is insane. There's still 2 weeks, people. What if Trump becomes presidential? I still think he has a shot. Now, as you know, Election Day is just 2 weeks from today. But with early voting in most of the country, Election Day is really just the last possible day to vote. You know, Election Day is basically Halloween, and then early voting is CVS. You can just go in there and get the candy at any time without having to trick or treat anybody. The point is, early voting is already underway, and so far, it's more popular than QAnon at your aunt's house.
We are just 2 weeks away from the election, and nearly 30 million Americans have already voted. More than 5 times the number at this point 4 years ago. Long lines and long waits seen in the key battleground state of Florida. Some of those lines started at dawn.
94-year-old Mildred Madison, born when Coolidge was president, had her son drive her more than 600 miles from Illinois back home to Michigan so that she could vote after she never got her absentee ballot.
Women got the last, especially black women, were the last ones that got the power to vote. It was wonderful to see a black woman running for vice president.
Wow! 94 years old, and she drove 600 miles to vote. That is so impressive. I mean, imagine driving 600 miles. I bet the poll workers were so moved by that story before they turned her away for not having the right ID. For real though, there should be a special prize for anyone who travels that far to vote. Like, forget the sticker. That's some bullshit. I want platinum I voted rims. And I'll be honest, I get why Ms. Madison is taking this so seriously. Black women absolutely cannot mess around with their votes. Statistically, they bear the brunt of any policy failure, whether it's housing, healthcare, education, anything. So they make sure to vote. I'll tell you now, if this entire country was only 94-year-old black women, voter turnout would be 100%. I mean, on the other hand, nobody would know who Timothy Chalamet is, so it's a mixed blessing. But yes, early voting records are being crushed all around the country. And honestly, I get it. This is 2020. You gotta vote now, because there's no guarantee that we'll even have a November. And as it stands now, Biden goes into the final weeks with a large lead, but 2016 taught us that large leads don't mean shit. Plus, there's still a debate this Thursday, and who knows what could happen. I mean, Trump could announce that he's pregnant, and you wouldn't fire an expecting parent, would you? You wouldn't put me out like that, America, would you? Me and my baby. Although what's not going to help Trump at the debates is that the debate commission has announced that they're going to be muting the microphone of the person who shouldn't be speaking to give the other person a chance to talk, which I think is actually a good idea. I mean, as long as Jeffrey Toobin isn't in charge of the mute button. I'm so sorry, guys. I left it on the whole time, and my dick is also out again. I'm so sorry. But guys, Trump doesn't care if you mute his microphone. He's just gonna shout. Or even worse, he'll just walk over to Biden and use his mic. He'll probably lick it too, just to mark his territory. That's mine. But clearly Trump needs to enjoy his open mic time while he can. And that's why he's holding large rallies every day to help spread his message and/or coronavirus, which, by the way, is soaring across the country. Corona hospitalizations are now rising in 39 states. But even though America isn't over the coronavirus, Trump has decided that America is totally over the coronavirus.
As the country faces a third coronavirus wave, President Trump on the campaign trail saying voters are tired of hearing about the pandemic.
People are pandemicked out. You know that? They're pandemicked out.
They're getting tired of the pandemic, aren't they? Getting tired of the pandemic. You turn on CNN, that's all they cover. COVID, pandemic, COVID. You know why? They're trying to talk everybody out of voting. People aren't buying at CNN, you dumb bastards. They're not buying it.
Yeah, CNN, you dumb bastards! Why are you spending all day reporting on the story that's dominating everyone's lives? Why don't you focus on some more important stories? Like what child stars look like now. Did you know that the little boy from E.T. looks like himself, but much older? Why isn't that in the news, you dumb bastards? Now, to be fair, Trump is not wrong about people being tired of dealing with this pandemic. But what he doesn't seem to realize is that, unlike the rest of us, he can actually do something about this. Instead, he's acting like he's as helpless as everyone else is. Guys, am I the only one here who's totally sick of coronavirus? Why doesn't someone come up with a plan? Now, persuading people that coronavirus is over isn't the world's easiest sell. I mean, we can see the world around us. But Trump thinks that he's figured out the problem. It's not that 250,000 Americans have died, it's that too many people are listening to that bastard Anthony Fauci.
With polls showing a majority of Americans unhappy with his handling of the virus, President Trump now laser focused on a new target, the nation's leading infectious disease expert.
I don't want to hurt him. He's been there for about 350 years.
The president began his day of attacks on Fauci on a call with campaign staffers.
People are tired of hearing Fauci and all these idiots. Fauci's a disaster. If I listened to him, we'd have 500,000 deaths.
The president later on the trail in Arizona, tying Fauci to Biden.
And you know, Biden wants to lock it down. He wants to listen to Dr. Fauci. He wants to listen to Dr. Fauci. And he is a wonderful guy. I like him. He just happens to have a very bad arm. He has a bad arm.
Yeah, you know what, guys? I can't argue with Trump's logic on this one. You just can't trust a scientist who can't throw a fastball. I mean, like, why didn't he practice? What else is he doing with his day? And honestly, it's kind of weird for Trump, of all people, to make fun of someone's bad arm. Lift a glass of water using one hand, and then we'll talk. Seriously, the scientists you want are the ones who are too busy in the lab to ever learn any sports. That's why if I was hiring a scientist, my first test would be to throw a ball at them. If they catch it, they're fired. So, unlike the country he's supposed to be running, Trump is having a blast right now. He's got his job, he's got his health, and he gets to throw parties with his friends. Hell, he's even been breaking out some dance moves, or whatever this was supposed to be. Whatever tiny percentage of the black vote Trump had, he has now officially lost. I mean, this is all of the classic bad dance moves back to back. Fake drive the truck, into the whack-a-mole, 2 claps off beat, then bring it home with 3 Jeffrey Toobins. But you know what? Maybe all the big rallies and weird dancing are just hiding a deep insecurity. Because even Trump must realize on some level that his closing message of Corona is boring and Dr. Fauci sucks may not get him over the finish line, which would explain why he seems to be making contingency plans just in case.
Mr. Trump tonight suggesting at a rally he might leave the country if he loses the election November 3rd. The president, while in Georgia, saying he wouldn't feel good if he loses and perhaps would leave the United States.
Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
Ah, classic snowflake. Threatening to leave the country if things don't go his way. But on the real though, where would Trump go? He can't go to Europe because he owes their banks a shit ton of money. He can't go to Africa because he called it a shithole. He can't even go to Mexico because some asshole built a giant wall. There isn't actually a wall. I just wanted to tell that joke. And look, I know Trump meant this as a threat, but my goodness, people. Can you imagine an America that's 100% Trump-free? Just the thought of that is enough to make me want to dance.